Hi guys, this is Patsy Gibenji and it is yet another amazing episode. That's how Patsy sees it. Thank you so much for coming back, and for our new watchers, I hope you will consider subscribing to this particular channel so that we can grow together. And while I was away, and this is because I have just been posting and not checking the subscribers list, the community is becoming bigger. I am so excited. And so the topic we are about to talk about in today's episode and in the next few episodes is it is everything about me. In the beginning, I made it very clear about how expensive resource-wise podcasting can be. And so me putting myself out there right now in this particular context when I don't have, all the equipment and everything, it's just because I want to give a voice to my story. And while I want to give a voice to my story, I gave interviews a chance, and you guys know that. And if it is not being objectified, the next thing, I almost felt like people didn't really know, or rather they had not figured out what you guys wanted me to talk about. And this is because even after these interviews, there are always those outstanding questions that I get from my audience, and I'm just like, then I feel like I'm the only person who can host this story and give all the juice and just talk about everything as it is. And so we will start from where we are going to start, and God willing, uko mbele mbele, we don't know what will happen. We don't know the possibilities that lay ahead of us, but at the end of the day, as long as you guys can see me and hear me, kindly bear with me. Yeah, we are going to grow as we progress. So the main question is about how I got my baby. And even before I begin with that, it is very interesting that the question most people had, or rather the assumptions most people had, were to do with everything but the natural way of conceiving and delivering. And what do I mean? Most people are talking about IVF, some people are talking about adoption, some people are talking, so many different things that were not the reality in our own case. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know what that felt like. It almost felt invalidating. At the same time, I was extending a lot of grace, because I was just like, maybe they just don't know, or all those shenanigans. So my partner and I are the parents to our baby, biological parents. And because this is already in the public, my partner carried our baby. And so, yeah. So the baby is ours, belongs to both of us. And we went through the gestation period, the antenatals, the postnatals, just like everyone else. Of course, certain things were different, because even some of the doctors were very confused, especially in the beginning stages. And I always talk about this on my channel. There is the expectation, and there is what the reality holds for you. And for every medical practitioner that we came across, I want to say I have deep gratitude for you guys. One, because I feel apart from one situation, every other situation we never felt profiled, and we pretty much felt like we were being served as human beings more than being served because you know, because the human nature, I don't know if it's a human nature or it's just how people have become. More often than not, they will look at your identity for them to decide how they are going to treat you. And so when someone treats us almost like it was very natural to them, it felt radical to us. It felt really, really, it felt like a revolution. It felt like something we had achieved. And it's really sad because that is not the world is supposed to be, but unfortunately that is the reality we are in. And I was just saying about how some medics were very, very confused, especially before the baby bump, because we get there and they're just wondering, hi, what is happening? What is happening? And the very, very first time, the doctor was always talking to me. And I was telling him, no, it's not me, it's him. And he was just like, what is happening in this room? But of course, after one appointment, the next one, they sort of adjust, not completely. You are still treated as a walking spectacle. But at the end of it all, baby is here and we were able to receive her. But there was the last facility we went for the antenatal clinics. It was a private hospital. And the sonographer at one point left her room and came to ask us, hi, what pronouns would you want me to use in the report? I almost jumped in joy. That is when I was just like, you know what? The work we are doing is finally paying off. Yeah? The fact that she actually believes that we deserve dignity by being properly identified, that is a plus. It doesn't matter if she doesn't know everything else, but the fact that we have not talked to her about our identities, but she just looked at us and thought it was wise for her to come and ask, that was a plus. And I felt really humbled. I had some few questions here. So I have come up with a couple of questions. These were self-made. These are questions I thought you guys could be curious about, and let's go. So the first one is what the baby's name is. Her name is Imani. Her name is Imani, and the rest of her name is to be kept private, and this is because of the reality of our context. Yeah, we just want to keep the name private so that it is also easy to hide her identity and she's not easily identified, because looking at the work I do and the identity of her parents, then definitely some of the people are weird, and so if they can't get to me, they will most definitely try to get their way through to my daughter, and that is something I'm trying to avoid. And so when we gave her the for how do I say it, the four characters name, that was the initial idea. And also because we also wanted to honor the cultural roots, both mine and my partner's. But the main reason is because we wanted to have one name which is very common, and so she's not easily identified. So she does have a set of other characters to her name, but this Imani is what we want everyone to relate to. How old is the baby? Right now, she is 7 months. She is turning 8 months this month on 17th. Yes. How has parenthood been so far? It's a dance, really. It's a dance. We've had the highs, we've had the lows. The highs have definitely been very consistent, and that is what we are choosing to focus on. And so far, so good. I am loving it. Are you getting any sleep? Yes and no. Yes, because she is able to sleep through her required number of hours, and no, because we have to sleep at odd hours and sometimes be asleep at very odd hours, that is during the day. And so, yeah, that is the only adjustments we have made. But generally, she's a good girl. She is getting enough sleep, and hence she's growing very, very well. So, I also have some questions about the journey to parenthood. How did we decide to have a baby? And so this is what I want to put out there. And this is for any person that is hoping to get, I feel like any affirming procedures. If you want to have gender reassignment surgery, if you're looking to do hormonal replacement therapy, if you're looking to do, all these procedures people do to affirm themselves, more often than not, some of these procedures can have an impact on fertility. And so if you're keen to become a parent, that might be something you might need to focus on. And so definitely, as people who were already on hormonal replacement therapy and we wanted a baby, this was like, it was just very timely. It was just very timely. And so mostly it was about the biological clock, because the clock is ticking and certain things are happening, and it would have gotten harder for us to get a child when we were like very deep into transitioning. So that is one of the very major reasons. Did you conceive naturally, use IVF, IUI, or adoption? Yes, the conception was naturally, and I am not the one who conceived. So yes, that is the next thing I want to clarify. Who carried the pregnancy? My partner did, like I mentioned. Did either of you pause hormonal therapy? Both of us, and most especially my partner, because post-conception, then there are certain things you cannot do. And just to piggyback to what I said about it being difficult for you to conceive when you are too deep into hormonal replacement therapy, this also interferes with the kind of birth options that you have. More often than not, 99.5% chances are you can't have a vaginal birth. And this is because testosterone naturally, it interferes with the body's ability to lubricate, and certain organs need to be lubricated for you to be able to have a successful vaginal birth, and also for the oxytocin hormones to work properly. I feel like they work hand in hand with progesterone, estrogen, and everything. And so when that is absent, cesarean section becomes the only safe option. What was pregnancy like? I would want to sit here and lie that the pregnancy was just like any other, and I mentioned that in the introduction of the video. There was confusion, there was commotion, there was cancel culture. So confusion, mostly hospitals, family members. My mom could not wrap her mind around it. And this is how you realize that it's a continuous process. So she has heard about trans, she has encountered her child being trans, she had met my partner, but the part where we could conceive, she had not seen it coming. And I remember during her birthday, we were like 2 months, 3 months in. That is when I told her, Mom, we are actually expecting. And her reaction was, let me sit down and then you can take that again. And the doctors, of course, they were just like, they had never seen such a thing happening. The midwife, I could see how confused she was. And I'm saying midwife because we tried the natural birth. It didn't work. It didn't work. But after research, that is when we realized we should not even have tried it. But she was also confused, but she was very gracious. I want to put it out there. Shout out to Divine Birth Midwifery Center. They were very professional. He felt affirmed, and we thank the universe for just aligning us. Commotion from the queer community, commotion from the audience when they realized the baby had come. No one knew about the pregnancy until the baby was born, and they were just like, so everyone had the question, is it IVF, is it IUI, is it adoption, what is happening, are you a lesbian, transgender woman, are you dating a woman, what is happening, all those questions. And of course now getting cancelled. Apparently, while we are advocating for people to sort of be very warm and accepting and humane around queer people, some people from the queer community also take their time and energy to police how other people are supposed to live their queer experiences. And so the very first reaction we got is, why should a trans woman be dating a trans man? Simkwe too straight. You guys are subscribing to cis heteronormativity. You people are not queer enough if you're getting children. And this is actually a stigma that lingers around even when lesbian women choose to have children. And I'm just like, do we actually realize that gender expressions, sex characteristics, sexual orientation, gender identity, these things exist independently. And when we are the same people who literally use the terms interchangeably, then the discourse becomes very acrimonious. And of course, I have not taken time to sort of get anyone to understand us, because my lived experience is mine, and I don't see why it should be taken away from your lived experience. And so I don't know why you're trying to make your lived experience take from our own experiences. It's honestly very crazy. But at the end of the day, being cognizant of the fact that being queer does not make you a good person has taken me a long way. So I have lowered my expectation, and I'm just like, you know what? You might be queer, but you can also be an asshole, and it is what it is. Yes. Questions about our family roles. Wow. What would you like your child to call each of you? And this is a question I get all the time. This is a question I get all the time. This is a question I am asked all the time. And what I want to say is, I am a transgender woman, and that makes me a trans mom. My partner is a transgender man, and that makes him a trans dad. However, is our experience taking away from the cis heterosexual experience? No, it's not. And so more often than not, when people come at me and say, your child is going to be confused, the first thing I let them know is my child will grow up knowing that the dad and mom are trans persons. And so as a trans woman, as a trans man, we are not that kind of man and women that people expect us to be. Because every time this conversation comes, it is not usually from a point of curiosity. It is usually a very condescending attitude where people want to say, oh my God, how can you say he's a transgender man when he has a womb? And I'm just like, why not? Why not? Yeah. And so, yes. And I feel like at the end of the day, our child is getting the love that she deserves, and she's going to get the support that she needs, whether it's psychosocial, even for her to be able to process the fact that one, my mom is a transgender woman who is public facing, and this might get her a certain level of attention, but I'm also really trying my best to control that so that she doesn't have to deal with everything. That way she can just be a child and just be. How do you divide parenting and responsibilities? I feel like it's neither here nor there. It is not a traditional cis heteronormative kind of dynamic where this person can do this, So my partner can be in the kitchen and I can be holding the baby, or vice versa. He can be doing laundry as I am doing something else, and vice versa. There are times when I have been working physically and he has had to remain with the baby. And so yeah, it has been a very flexible experience. And the next thing I want to say is, more often than not, people ask this question because when you hear trans man, trans woman, the idea you have in mind is that we are supposed to be sort of playing the same roles in a similar manner like cis heterosexual people. And the answer is always cis heterosexual men can't carry children. So how do we maneuver that? And the expectation that a transgender man is supposed to measure up to the standards of a cis heterosexual man, therefore become it's very inaccurate, and it's very unfair, if you ask me. So yeah. How are your families reacting to the baby? They were very excited. They were very ecstatic about it. Yeah, gleeful is an understatement, especially speaking for my own family. The grandma could not wait for her to get home, and they're always here every other time. The nephew is so excited, my sister, my dad, my partner's family, they are always checking on her and checking up on him. So yeah. And also, I feel like I need to clarify that even before the baby, we were still in good terms with my family, speaking for myself specifically, and they had met my partner and everything. So yeah, so it was pretty much a very smooth transition. So from us being a couple without a child transitioning into parenting, it was not such a difficult moment. Questions about raising the child. How will you talk to your child about gender? Maybe let's look at humanity before identity, because at the end of the day, I'm not a person, especially being a feminist, I'm a person who is very political when it comes to gender. And so that is just it. So most probably she's going to grow within the confines of feminism. But at the end of the day, I want to make it very clear that this is not an attempt to get her to be men-hating. This is the next thing that most people have asked about. Yes, I have no intention of dictating who she should be inclining towards when it comes to attraction or even love, platonically or non-platonically. So yes, it is going to be, there won't be any hyperfixation on this subject matter, gender. Will you raise your child with any particular values or traditions? Absolutely. Absolutely. The values of Ubuntu, the values of you are, and I see you, and I love you, and just being a very decent human being. Yeah? Because I feel like I don't want to assume when we talk about values and traditions, it is maybe will she be Muslim or Christian or whatever. I hope that is not what we are looking at. But yes, she is going to have a value system, which I would hope and pray that she's going to adhere to. How are you handling school and healthcare in a way that's affirming? Oh, okay, she's not gotten to that point, but no, I don't want to answer that for now. Yes, for now I will not answer that particular question, especially about school. But yeah, a response will be given at the right time. Who is the real mother or father? We are the real parents. Whose DNA does the baby have? Both of us. Can you even have biological children? Yes. Yes. Yes, we can. What surgeries have you had? None, and not intending to have any. What? No. Yeah, so pretty much that's it. And I'm hoping that sheds some light. I hope you guys are going to subscribe, and I hope this also opens us up to wider range of conversations. And I'm going to be looking at the comment section, and hopefully you are going to engage with me, because when I make a video and you guys are not engaging me, I feel really sad. I feel really sad, because I take a lot of time doing this. I take a lot of time and energy and effort. So can you please just reciprocate and interact, share, comment, subscribe? I know you will. And that's how Patsy sees it.